catches the collects up.
Well, we are back from Clipper Magazine Stadium. Just had a great conversation with a fan here in Lancaster, Flo, who is one of the well-known fans of the Barnstormers. And we've got a big one here for the Blue Crabs as they look to get back on the right track and look for their third win, I guess, in 4 tries, though, as they won the final 2 games on Long Island and then lost game 1 of this 3-game set yesterday. And the Blue Crabs will send Eddie Butler to the mound tonight against Cameron Gann. Let's go through the Blue Crabs starting lineup. It's Jack Sundberg who gets things started, followed by Michael Wolanski, Jared Walker, David Harris, Joe DeLuca, who we had a conversation with before today's game. He'll be on our pregame show in just a couple of moments. Zach Collier, Santiago Chirino bats 7th. A couple of changes at the bottom of the lineup as Ian Yetzko is back in. He's at second base today, and Mike Falsetti is doing the catching. It is Michael Wolanski who has shifted from second base to shortstop, while Santiago Chirino remains at third base. Well, we just mentioned moments ago that we had that conversation before today's game with Joe DeLuca. Talked about his last couple of games at the plate, his role as a first baseman, and where he thinks an MLB team outside of the U.S. and Canada might go. Without further ado, here is Joe DeLuca. Well, fans, we are experiencing some technical difficulties with the interview, so we'll try to get that up to you as soon as we can. We'll play it between innings for you as well, so you get a chance to listen to some of the things that Joe DeLuca had to say before today's ball game. But it was a good conversation with him about the Blue Crabs in their next 2 games against the Barnstormers, what Southern Maryland really needs to get out of those 2 games, as well as the playoff series, which is to come thereafter. Well, Southern Maryland Blue Crabs will face off against Cameron Gann, the righty, who is 8-8 on the season. In his last start, Gann went 6 innings. He allowed 2 hits, 1 walk, and he struck out 6. The Blue Crabs bats yesterday were very, very quiet. They mustered a total of just 4 hits in the ball game. They scored 2 runs, and one of their runs came when a runner was walked in because there was a walk, an error, and a hit prior in the inning. And the Blue Crabs really struggled to hit the ball hard yesterday. Well, they look to get some more hits in tonight's ball game off of Cameron Gann, but he was very good last time out. His ERA on the season, not all that great, 5.47. As the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs turn to Eddie Butler, who has a 12-5 record, a 4.68 ERA. The Blue Crabs coming to this one with an 83-46 record, while the Lancaster Barnstormers are 70-59. In the second half, the Blue Crabs are 35-28, while the Barnstormers are 41-22. Against the Barnstormers so far this year, the Blue Crabs are 12-3. They were 11-0 to start the year, though. They've lost 3 out of their last 4 against the Barnstormers. And their last 5, the Blue Crabs have won 3 of their last 5, in part due to the fact that they won 2 out of 3 against the Long Island Ducks and won the final game of that series against York. So it is still 3 out of 5. But the Blue Crabs are a team that's been used to winning a ton of games, especially back in the first half and the first part of the second half as well. But things recently haven't gone their way. A little more on Eddie Butler prior to his start tonight. He is in the top 3 in the Atlantic League in wins, in innings pitched, and in complete games. 12 wins, 150 innings, and 2 complete games on the year. Across the month of September, a 5.54 ERA. In the month of August, he had a 4.15 earned run average. Blue Crabs will turn to Alcis Herrera tomorrow for Game 3. Would not be surprised if they platoon him with Adrian Cook to finish the season. You know, that game tomorrow is going to be very interesting because I'd imagine you're going to see a lot of resting from the bullpen, a lot of resting from, you know, the primary guys in your lineup. I was actually expecting to see guys like Ian Yetzko, guys like Matt Hibbert, and Mike Falsetti tomorrow, but instead we get to see them today. So, and I think that the ability to have those other guys cycle through and gives a lot of your key players a rest in that day before, you know, the off day and then the playoffs, and make sure that your guys are 100% ready to go as you get into the playoffs on Tuesday. All right, well, let's run through again the starting lineup for the Blue Crabs, the defensive alignment for the Lancaster Barnstormers in the top of the first inning, just moments away, and then we'll see if we can get that Joe DeLuca interview back and going for you. Again, it's Jack Sundberg to lead things off. Michael Wolanski bats second. Jared Walker in the 3 spot. David Harris bats 4th. Joe DeLuca bats 5th, while Zach Collier is batting 6th. Santiago Chirino bats 7th, while Ian Yetzko bats 8th, and Mike Falsetti is in the 9 spot. Defensively for the Lancaster Barnstormers, in left field, it's Joseph Carpenter. In center field, it's Trayvon Robinson. The right fielder is Shawan Dunston Jr., who's back in the lineup tonight after he's been out of the lineup for the last 5 weeks or so. A recent return and a much-needed return for the Barnstormers as they make this last push toward the playoffs. It's Trace Lair at third base. The shortstop is Anderson Felice. Over at second base, it's Melvin Mercedes. Jacob Barfield back at first base tonight, and Chris Proctor will be doing the catching for Cameron Gann. All right, let's take another stab at this, see if we can get that interview going with Joe DeLuca. Otherwise, we'll catch you for the first pitch in just a couple of moments. Well, we are just outside the clubhouse at Clipper Magazine Stadium, just in front of Game 2 between the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs and the Lancaster Barnstormers. Austin Rooney joined by Joe DeLuca. Joe, thanks for coming on the show again.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, Joe. Well, in that last game against Long Island, you went 3 for 3, added a run scored, added a sacrifice fly. It was probably one of your best games since returning for injury. Do you think that you're seeing the ball better at the plate right now?
You know, after the injury, I think it was just getting back into the swing of things. I've been hitting the ball pretty hard. They're just not finding holes, and you know, luckily on the other day, the last game against Long Island, they just ended up finding some, you know, open grass. So staying with the same approach and everything. I'm seeing the ball well. I'm swinging at good pitches. Honestly, I just think it's, you know, whether I'm lucky that day or not, because I've been pretty happy with hitting the ball hard. It's just at people, which is baseball. And like the other day, I got a little choopy hit, you know, where it falls right in between the shortstop and left fielder, and it counts as a hit. Like it just happens. I think Zach had one yesterday, so it evens out hopefully at some point. And I think I had a luckier day that day.
Well, last night 0 for 2, you had a walk, and maybe you think you should have been 1 for 2. There was sort of a borderline call there.
Well, I mean, it could have gone either way. I could have been 2 for 2. I could have been 0 for 2. I put the bunt down third base. It hit the lip and stopped. I was expecting 98, but he threw me a changeup, so I got to get that one down the line a little bit. Can't have the pitcher or the catcher get it. So that was a little frustrating. I got hit, and then I hit the ball hard at the first baseman. It was an error, but, I mean, obviously this late in the season, you're like, oh, can I get a hit on that, please? So obviously we were trying to get that changed, but, I mean, it happens, you know. And
is the inspiration of Russian-born composer Irving Berlin, who wrote it as a prayer of thanks for American freedom, which he experienced when he moved here. It's my honor to perform it tonight with several of my fellow members of the Myerstown Rotary Club who are standing behind. And then please join me, and we'll all sing this chorus together. And as we do, I want you to offer your own prayer of thanks for the freedom that we all enjoy, thanks to the people who gave our lives that we do enjoy. Also, keep in mind those less fortunate, and pray, of course, for the people of Ukraine. Now, God bless America. As the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful to our land so fair, as we lift our voices in a solemn prayer. Everybody, God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairie, to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Now, to honor our nation and its flag, here to perform our national anthem, Olivia O'Rama.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars
Well, we appreciate your joining us on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network, just in front of Game 2 of this three-game set, as the Blue Crabs fell in Game 1, 5-2. The Blue Crabs got a solo home run from Jack Sundberg. Sundberg also drove in Joe DeLuca on an RBI walk. Gives you about all you need to know as far as the way the Blue Crabs offense was operating yesterday. It really wasn't, as they scored just 2 runs on 4 hits. They were gifted a couple of walks from Lancaster starter yesterday, as they went to Brooks Hall, who I'm sure the Blue Crabs will be seeing again in the playoffs next week. Cameron Gann, another pitcher who the Blue Crabs very well may see in Game 4 of that series against the Barnstormers. It seems likely right now you're going to see Oscar De La Cruz in Game 1. In Game 2, you're probably going to see Ball and then Hall in Game 3, and in Game 4, Gann. And that seems like probably what you're going to see. Niall Ball seems like that number 2 guy right now for the Lancaster Barnstormers. For the numbers on Cameron Gann, he has an ERA north of 5 and an 8-8 record. He's going to throw a 4-seam fastball that runs as high as 94. Works a changeup in there about 25% of the time. That's in the mid-80s, and then a curveball in the low 80s along with a slider that he'll mix in from time to time. A 4-pitch pitcher for the Lancaster starter, Cameron Gann, who goes up against the Blue Crabs left fielder tonight. That's Jack Sundberg, who gets things started. Well, Sundberg restraps the batting gloves. He digs in. Gann gets the sign from the catcher. And the pitch is in there for a called strike, and we are underway. Let's bring you through the Lancaster Barnstormers defensive alignment, as it's the left fielder, Joseph Carpenter. In center field, Trayvon Robinson. The right fielder is Shawan Dunston Jr., who's back in the lineup. 0-1 pitch, a called strike, and the count, no balls and 2 strikes on Jack Sundberg. In the infield, at third base, Trace Lair. The shortstop is Anderson Felice. The second baseman, Melvin Mercedes. At first base, it's Jacob Barfield. A pitch, line drive toward left. It is the left fielder, Joseph Carpenter, who takes a couple of steps in and makes the catch chest high for the first out. And there is one away in the top of the first inning. And here comes Michael Wolanski. Wolanski, the shortstop for Southern Maryland, who's had a bit of an up and down return since injury. He's had a couple of really, really good games. In that series against Long Island, he had hits in all 3. Wolanski in that series went 5 for 11 with a 3-run home run and 2 walks mixed in. First pitch called strike, and the count 0-1 on the righty. But yesterday, an 0-for-4 ball game, and he's had a couple of those. So mix the big hit days in with the 0-for-4 days in, and he's hitting just a little above 260 since his return, and the pitch is up and in. Count 1 ball and 1 strike. You look at a guy like Wolanski, though, who's an incredibly strong and consistent defender, and he's got a great swing at the plate. 1-1 pitch, swinging a high pop-up, shallow right field, long run, and who's going to get there? Nobody gets there, but it's in foul territory down the right field line. Oh, that was awfully close. Sean Lamentino was right there and made the call. He said, not just a little bit foul, as that ball fell in between Shawan Dunston Jr., Melvin Mercedes, Jacob Barfield. It was nearly extra bases. It was nearly a pop-out. So, I mean, I don't think anybody can be all that upset as based on what happened. I mean, the infielders probably think they should have caught the ball. Michael Wolanski saying, well, it could have been a fair ball. Well, either way, it's merely a foul ball on the count 1-2. Hit pitch way up and in from Cameron Gann on Michael Wolanski, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes on the righty. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Top of the first inning in a scoreless ball game. And now the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike three. Cameron Gann goes with a fastball and gets Michael Wolanski swinging. There are two away in the top of the first inning. And here comes Jared Walker. Walker to be followed by David Harris in the top of the first inning. Walker was 0 for 3 yesterday. Played as high as Double-A in the LA Dodgers organization. And the first pitch, big swing and a miss in the count 0-1 on Jared Walker. And the pitch, another big swing and a miss. Count 0-2 now on Walker. On this road trip, 11 for 36. A shade over 300. That last series, though, when he was outstanding, 8 for 15, including a home run and a couple of RBIs. 0-2 pitch, up and away, count 1-2. 95 on the fastball from Cameron Gann. I will say the radar gun that appears on the scoreboard does appear to be a couple of ticks fast. Yesterday it was at least a tick or two for most of the relievers, as the 1-2 pitch just a little outside, count 2 balls and 2 strikes. We were seeing 98, maybe even 99 on the scoreboard. When you check back with our more accurate and more well-calibrated TrackMan systems, it recorded those as 96 and 97. 2-2 pitch, a little low, count 3 balls and 2 strikes. Remember, Eddie Butler can throw really hard off the mound. We've seen him throw 96 and even 97 at one point earlier this season. That's in a starter's role, and I think tonight's start will say a lot about who's going to be in the playoffs as that Game 3 or Game 4 starter. 3-2 pitch, up and away, ball 4. And when I talked with Stan Clyburn before yesterday's game, Blue Crabs manager, he told me, you know, I don't want to talk about what's going to happen Game 3 and Game 4 because you just never really know. I mean, there could be a rain out mixed in. There could be a situation where you need to go back to Darryl Thompson if you're down 2-1 in a series, let's say. Or there could be a situation where it's a perfect spot to put in your number 3 or number 4 starter, depending on how well they did last time out, too, I think. So I think this Eddie Butler thing, Eddie Butler situation, is probably incredibly important to see, okay, how does he do tonight? Runner on first base, 2 outs. If he goes out there and throws 8 innings and 1 run as the pitch is up and in, well, then I think that there's a very good chance we'll see Eddie Butler in Game 3. But if he goes out there and throws 5 innings and allows 11 hits and 6 runs, we might not. And that's at least with the idea as the 1-0 pitch is up and in, that I think it's most likely at this point you're going to see Darryl Thompson starting Game 1 and Mitch Lampson starting Game 2. Nothing official on that front, but you'd have to imagine it's very likely. Two balls, no strikes, 2 outs in the top of the first inning. And the pitch, up and in, count 3-0. 3 balls, no strikes, and 2 outs as David Harris takes a couple of practice swings. As Cameron Gann has seemingly lost the strike zone after getting ahead in the count 0-2 on Walker. And now the 3-0 pitch is in there for a called strike. But back to that last point. Gets ahead in the count 0-2 on Walker. He walks Walker on 4 pitches, on the next 4 pitches. And then David Harris, count 3-0. Balls for Gann there for a moment. Pitch, swinging a foul off of Chris Proctor's mask. And the count, 3 balls and 2 strikes. We saw Anthony Peroni as the catcher yesterday. He's out of the lineup tonight. Chris Proctor is behind the plate. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Same count that Cameron Gann walked Jared Walker on. Let's see if the Blue Crabs can get anything going late. And now Jared Walker takes off for second base. No one noticed. He stole before Cameron Ganover stepped off the rubber. No one was holding him on. No one went to second base to cover. So Jared Walker swiped second base without a pitch being thrown. So the count 3-2 now. Cameron Gann turned around and looked. No one was there. 3-2 pitch inbound. Swing and a miss. Strike three. David Harris goes down swinging. The Blue Crabs had one base runner via a was Jared Walker, so Southern Maryland scores none. They strand one at the end of the top of the first. It's the Blue Crabs nothing, and the Barnstormers coming to bat when we come back. Just outside the clubhouse at Clipper Magazine Stadium, just in front of Game 2 between the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs and the Lancaster Barnstormers. Austin Rooney joined by Joe DeLuca. Joe, thanks for coming on the show again.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, Joe. Well, in that last game against Long Island, you went 3 for 3, added a run scored, added a sacrifice fly. It was probably one of your best games since returning for injury. Do you think that you're seeing the ball better at the plate right now?
After the injury, I think it was just getting back into the swing of things. I've been hitting the ball pretty hard. They're just not finding holes, and luckily on the other day, the last game against Long Island, they just ended up finding some open grass. So staying with the same approach and everything. I'm seeing the ball well. I'm swinging at good pitches. Honestly, I just think it's whether I'm lucky that day or not, because I've been pretty happy with hitting the ball hard. It's just at people, which is baseball. And like the other day, I got a little choopy hit, where it falls right in between the shortstop and left fielder, and it counts as a hit. Like it just happens. I think Zach had one yesterday, so it evens out hopefully at some point. And I think I had a luckier day that day.
Well, last night 0 for 2, you had a walk, and maybe you think you should have been 1 for 2. There was sort of a borderline call there.
Well, I mean, it could have gone either way. I could have been 2 for 2. I could have been 0 for 2. I put third base. It hit the lip and stopped. I was expecting 98, but he threw me a changeup, so I got to get that one down the line a little bit. Can't have the pitcher or the catcher get it. So that was a little frustrating. I got hit, and then I hit the ball hard at the first baseman. It was an error, but, I mean, obviously this late in the season, you're like, oh, can I get a hit on that, please?
Well, Eddie Butler takes the mound. The first pitch to Shawan Dunston Jr. is low, and the count 1-0. Now the 1-0 pitch. That's up and away. Count 2 balls and no strikes from Eddie Butler on the Lancaster Barnstormers. And the 2-0 pitch now. Swinging a high fly ball. Right field, rather deep. This one back to the warning track at the wall. Looking up, it is gone. Jared Walker took a step in, and then he took a step back to the warning track. And it was over his head and over the wall and right. Only took 3 pitches for the Barnstormers to get on the board here in the first inning. It is a 1-0 start for Lancaster. That short wall in left makes a lot of routine flyouts turn into solo home runs, or in some case, you might get a 2-run, 3-run, or grand slam. So that's the way it goes here in the bottom of the first inning. After Southern Maryland couldn't put a run on in the top of the first, it's a solo shot right away from Shawan Dunston Jr. And so there's a 1-0 lead for the Barnstormers. Pitch, ground ball, third base side foul. On the count 0-2 now on Melvin Mercedes. Base paths are empty. And the 0-2 pitch, that's a little low. Count 1-2. No balls, 2 strikes, or 1 ball and 2 strikes, I should say. As that last pitch missed away. Our scoreboard a little behind on the count. It's not the first time tonight. I have it at least as 1-2. Here's the pitch. Swinging a line drive to right. It's a base hit. 2 batters and 2 hits for the Barnstormers off of Eddie Butler to get things going in the top of the 2nd inning. And Andretti Cordero will dig in. As Southern Maryland has all of a sudden found themselves in a bit of a hole. A run in already and a runner on first base with nobody out in the bottom of the 1st inning. And not to mention you have the heart of the order coming up for Lancaster. First pitch a little bit low in the count, 1 ball and no strikes. Cordero went deep yesterday. He hits .337 on the season. And one of the things that Butler has struggled with this season is the batting average against. As the pitch is fouled back, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike now on Cordero. On the year, Eddie Butler has a .306 batting average against, which is very, very high. The average hitter hits maybe .260, so that's 40 points higher than league average. Pitch, line drive through the left side for a base hit. 3 batters and 3 hits for the Barnstormers. A solo shot from Shawan Dunston, a single off the bat of Melvin Mercedes, and now it's Andretti Cordero who shoots the ball through the left side for a base hit. And there are runners on 1st and 2nd with nobody out. And here comes Trayvon Robinson. And this is not a full-strength Barnstormers team. I mean, think about what this Barnstormers offense was with Kelly Dugan in the lineup. Think about this Barnstormers offense with Colton Shaver in the lineup. Pitch, line drive foul, 3rd base side, and the count 0-1. And Butler, a guy who's going to pound the zone. He throws really hard. There's no question about that. But he's going to pound the zone. He fills up the zone. Oh, 0-1 offering upcoming. Trayvon Robinson, the pitch a little bit low in the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. Two on and nobody out. It's Mercedes from 2nd. It's Cordero from 1st. And Trayvon Robinson at the plate. 1-1 pitch, check swing. Might have got a piece of that as well. And the count 1-2 now on Trayvon Robinson. Now here's a situation for Eddie Butler where maybe it's an opportunity to throw a couple pitches out of the zone. See if you can get Trayvon Robinson to chase a pitch. One ball and 2 strikes on Robinson. The pitch from Butler. Line drive foul up toward the sweet level. Now, here in York, the netting doesn't go all that high. It protects just over the dugout, I believe on both sides, although not all that much. It's only sort of diagonally over the dugout there. Either way, that ball was right up into the sweet section. It was a lot of pace as well. 1-2 pitch, line drive, up the middle, a base hit. Melvin Mercedes applies the brakes at 3rd. A base hit into center field as it split the hole between the shortstop Wolanski and the 2nd baseman Ian Yetzko into center field. Collier got there quickly though and prevented that ball from rolling too slowly and allowing Melvin Mercedes to score. Well, the bases are loaded with nobody out now. So it's Melvin Mercedes from 3rd, Andretti Cordero from short, and Trayvon Robinson from 1st base. Shawan Dunston got the ball game started with a solo home run. And there have been 4 batters that Butler has faced, and 4 batters have picked up hits. And the first pitch. And the pitch is up and away, and the count 1 ball and no strikes. Butler entered today's ball game with a 4.68 earned run average. The former big leaguer has struggled so far this evening, and the 1-0 pitch is low, count 2-0. And you have to imagine at some point, when you've allowed 4 straight hits, it has to become somewhat mental, saying, I don't want to throw pitches right down the middle of the plate. You want to be painting the corners at most, but then you got to realize that if you walk a guy, and now the pitch, line drive into left field, it's a base hit. 1 run scores. They wave around Cordero from third. He scores. It's a 2 RBI double for Anderson Feliz, who dunks that ball down the left field line and gives the Lancaster Barnstormers a 3-0 lead. And now Daryl Thompson, the Blue Crabs pitching coach, going to come out and have a chat with him. It might be a little bit too little too late sort of a situation, though, as Eddie Butler has already run into trouble so far this evening. And the conversation between Blue Crabs pitching coach and likely 2022 pitcher of the year, Daryl Thompson, and Eddie Butler. I mean, I'd be stunned at this point if anybody other than Daryl Thompson wins pitcher of the year. Lamson was in the conversation for the best ERA, and if he had passed Daryl Thompson, I think he might have had a shot, but at this point it seems very unlikely. That's the first meeting at the mound for the Blue Crabs, and look, this is a time when I think you need one. And unfortunately for Eddie Butler and the Blue Crabs, the threat is not close to over yet. There's nobody out in the bottom of the first inning, and there are still runners on second. It's Robinson from third. It's Robinson from third. It's Felice from second. And it's Jacob Barfield, the first baseman, at the plate. And the first pitch. Low in the count, 1 ball and no strikes. One ball, no strikes, no outs. Barfield will be followed by Chris Proctor, 6 and 7 in the lineup tonight. And the 1-0. Line drive. This one's going to dunk into center field for a base hit. A seeing eye single up the middle. It's Trayvon Robinson who scores from third. It's Anderson Feliz from second to third. And Jacob Barfield with an RBI single. And all of a sudden, it's a 4-0 Lancaster lead. And still no one out in the bottom of the first inning. You talk about putting the bats behind the 8 ball. And these are the same bats that really haven't been able to produce much of anything in this, really the entire road trip. They had a good series offensively against Long Island, but last night, 2 runs on 4 hits. And one of those came via a walk that drove in a run. And the pitch to Proctor. That's away. Count 1 ball and no strikes. It doesn't help from Butler's perspective either that he's falling behind in the count. You're down on the count 1-0, down on the count 2-0. You're forced to throw a pitch right over the heart of the plate in some sense. As the 1-0 pitch misses, and the count 2-0. As that one just outside on Chris Proctor, the catcher. Here is the 2-0. That's low and in. Count 3-0. 3 balls, no strikes, no outs. In the bottom of the first inning. No action in the Blue Crabs bullpen yet. But should Chris Proctor be walked, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Now keep in mind, these are exhibition games. These are games that don't really matter. I mean, they go to your final overall record, sure, but as far as standings are concerned, as far as playoffs, the 3-0 pitch misses, it's ball 4. It doesn't have any consequences. This game could You lose this game, you win this game, you're still playing the Lancaster Barnstormers right here at Clipper Magazine Stadium on Tuesday. And that's what's important at this point. And I think that the other thing you have to look at as far as what's important is that the Blue Crabs are going to have to have that bullpen, have that pitching staff be ready to go for Tuesday night. So you don't want to overuse an arm that you think might be very necessary on Tuesday. As the pitch in there, check swing, and it's a swinging strike now on Joseph Carpenter as he went around on the check swing. Bases loaded, nobody out. Pitch, that's away. And the count 1-1 strike. Just a little low and away on the offering to Joseph Carpenter. 4-0 Barnstormers. Anderson Felice on third. Jacob Barfield on second. Chris Proctor on first. Then Joseph Carpenter at the plate. 1-1 pitch. Big wave and a miss. And the count 1-2. We talk about the Blue Crabs, how they had 9 consecutive hits in the first inning against the Long Island Ducks. In game 2 of that series, it's 7 consecutive hits for the Barnstormers right now. 1-2. Called strike 3. Mike Paul said he didn't catch the ball, but Joseph Carpenter is called out on strikes, and he has some words for Steve Zawiski as he says, come on, that's not strike 3. He didn't catch the ball. And I'm afraid that catching the ball doesn't really have much to do with whether it's a strike or not. And there is one away in the bottom of the first inning. It did look maybe a tad outside, but good pitch from Eddie Butler, and that's the first out in the bottom of the first inning. And sometimes that's all you really need. Get that first out, and you go from there. Pitch, that's low to Trace Lair, and the count 1-0 strikes. What you just really can't allow to have happen here is this game to spiral in the first inning and you find yourself down by too many runs to recover. 1-0 pitch, swing and a miss, count 1-1. And from Lancaster's perspective, you probably want 6 or 7 in this inning. From Blue Crab's perspective, you get out of this allowing 4 or 5, you got to be happy at this point. I mean, certainly 4. And you allow a sacrifice fly and get out of this inning, I think you're going to be thrilled. You wouldn't be upset about that either. The 1-1 pitch, though, is popped up. Foul territory. Santiago Chirino tracks it down and makes the catch for the second out.
Right fielder Sean Dunston Jr.
And Sean Dunston Jr. comes to the plate now with 2 outs and the bases loaded. So now you find yourself in a spot where Eddie Butler allows hits to the first 7 batters of this ball game, then gets a strikeout to Joseph Carpenter, a pop out from Trace Lair. You're back to the top of the lineup and you're saying, okay, we've got a shot to get out of this down 4-0. And at that point, you're still very much in the ball game. Certainly taking Butler a few moments to settle down. The pitch is low and the count 1-0 strikes. Bases loaded and 2 outs, 1-0. Popped up, third base side, count 1-1. Well, the Blue Crabs bullpen never got going. As at one point there was the same situation, bases loaded, 4-0 and nobody out. Now 2 outs, but Sean Dunston at the plate. He homered his last time up, and the pitch inside, and the count 2-1 strike. About as short as you're going to hit a home run in all of baseball, at least an out of the park home run, that is. And the 2-1 pitch, that's low. Count 3 balls and a strike. 3 balls, 1 strike, 2 outs on Shawan Dunston. Bases are loaded. Felice from third, Barfield from second, Proctor from first. 3-1 pitch. That's away. It's ball 4. And it brings in a run as the Barnstormers now have a 5-0 lead in the bottom of the second inning. I will say, in Eddie Butler's defense here, he has not allowed the hardest hit of balls here. I mean, if you go back to the beginning, Shawan Dunston's home run has an exit velocity of 92.2 miles per hour. Now, Major League average is right around 92. Pitch, a little bit away, and the count 1 ball and no strikes. So you have a home run hit 92, a single from Melvin Mercedes hit 97, a single at 90, a single at 87. These are not hard hit balls. The double was well hit at 101, but Jacob Barfield singled at 63 miles per hour. Pitch. This one rolled over, but by Melvin Mercedes, he hit it off of his front foot, though. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike on Mercedes with 2 outs in the bottom of the first inning. It's 5-0. Melvin Mercedes going to walk that one off. He's going to strap the batting gloves once more. He's going to feel that. That one's it's not comfortable. Mercedes hitting .295 with 12 home runs on the year. Singled his first time up. Bases are still loaded for him the second time around. 5-0 Lancaster. Pitch. Swinging a high fly ball, center field, straight away. It is the center fielder, Zach Collier, who takes 1 step to left center and makes the catch for the final out. All the Lancaster Barnstormers strand 3, but they score 5 and lead this ball game 5-0. We go to the top of the second inning from Clipper Magazine Stadium.
This is Ian Yetzko, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Are you in the market for a new roof? Well, give William Richmond Inc. a call and get serviced by Southern Maryland's premier roofing contractor. Locally owned and operated, William Richmond Inc. is licensed, bonded, and insured, and has a 5-star rating on HomeAdvisor. They care about their work almost as much as they care about your home. Call 443-432-3426 today for a free estimate, or go to williamrichmondinc.com. Don't forget to mention the Blue Crabs and save 10% on any service.
We welcome you back in the top of the second inning from Clipper Magazine Stadium. Gann fires the first pitch. It's up and away, and the count 1 ball and no strikes. Lancaster 5, Southern Maryland nothing. A 5-run bottom of the first inning as the pitch called strike on the outside corner. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike on the switch hitting catcher Joe DeLuca, who bats from the left side against the righty Gann. And the 1-1. That's away. Count 2 balls and a strike. 5 runs on 6 hits in the bottom of the first for the Lancaster Barnstormers, including a solo shot off the bat of Shawan Dunston Jr. And the pitch, swinging a high pop-up, third base side. It's a third baseman, Lair, who gives way to the shortstop, Anderson Felice, who makes the catch right down that third baseline, and there is 1 away. Just to give you an idea as far as the hits for Lancaster, a home run from Dunston, single from Mercedes, single from Cordero, single from Robinson, double from Felice, and a single from Jacob Barfield. It was not the inning that Butler was looking for to get things going. That much is clear. And the pitch, swinging a high pop-up, right field side, shallow right, and it is going to be the right fielder, Shawan Dunston Jr., who calls everyone off and makes the catch for the second out. 2 up and 2 down to get things going in the top of the second after the Blue Crabs surrender 5 in the first. This was certainly not the answer that the Blue Crabs were looking for. You know, a 1-2-3 inning is a 1-2-3 inning, but when you're down by 5, and you know, it certainly does not appear to be the best night for the Blue Crabs pitching staff as the pitch is in there for a called strike on Santiago Chirino, who bats from the right side. Pitch 0-1, line drive foul, first base side, count 0-2. I mean, you got to at some point get those bats going, and it doesn't help when this is a team going into Tuesday night's playoffs. And you had no runs or 2 runs on 4 hits on Friday night, and you've started game 2 like this. As the 0-2 pitch is fouled back to the netting, count remains 0-2. 5-0 Lancaster. Santiago Chirino at the plate. It's Ian Yetzko on deck. 0-2 is up and in, count 1-2. And the 1-2 now. Low in the dirt, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes on Santiago Chirino. And now you look at, again, what happened back in the first inning. Couple of quick outs. Jared Walker walks, and the strikeout to David Harris. Now the 2-2 to Chirino. Line drive foul, first base side yet again, and the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Chirino working a strong at bat. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Again, the 2-2 offering to Chirino. Low in the dirt, and the count 3 balls and 2 strikes. Another at bat where Gann is ahead, 0-2. And a strong at bat by a Blue Crabs batter, in this case Chirino, who works it back to full. This will be the 8th pitch of the at bat to the righty, who's hitting .417 in his brief time with the Blue Crabs, 5 for 12. Was 2 for 4, 2 for 5, and 1 for 3 yesterday. 3-2 pitch. This one popped up right field side, tailing foul, and finds its way into the first row of seats down the right field line. And the count remains 3-2 on Santiago Chirino. 5-0 Lancaster. 7 consecutive hits to start the bottom of the first inning. 3-2 to Chirino. Line drive, right center field. This one falling fast. It falls for a base hit and rolls all the way to the wall. Chirino around second. He applies the brakes there. It's a 2-out double for Santiago Chirino. And the bats are finally getting going here in the second inning. talk about the addition of someone like Santiago Chirino, as Stan Clyburn made the trade and the acquisition just before that playoff roster had to be finalized on Monday. As Chirino has hit 308 consecutive seasons, finished up in the Frontier League earlier this year with a 300 season on the nose. And the pitch now to Ian Yetzko. Big wave and a miss at a fastball on the count 0-1. And it's got to be tough for someone like Yetzko. I've talked to a lot of the players during our pregame show, and one of the things that they really harp on is timing. And they say, if you're not getting enough consistent at-bats every day, it's really tough. 0-1 pitch, foul back to the netting count, 0-2. If you're out for 3 days and you're back in, that timing, the time off really does affect your timing. You're not seeing live pitching for that long. For someone like Ian Yetzko who gets a start, he was getting the start every night when Wolanski was out, but now it's every 5-6 nights. Pitch low in the dirt and allows Santiago Chirino to get from second to third. So now a runner on third base with 2 outs as the pitch skipped past the catcher, Chris Proctor. And the count 1-2 on Yetzko, but going back to that last point, this is his first start since Monday. Or first start since last weekend, I really should say. So, you're going again on 5-6 days without a game for Yetzko, and that timing's got to be tough. And he's someone who really battles out there. He works very, very hard to make sure he's ready to go. And now the 1-2 to Ian Yetzko. Swing and a foul tip. Proctor couldn't hang on to it, and the count remains 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs on Ian Yetzko in the top of the second inning, with Santiago Chirino off of third base and the Blue Crabs trailing by 5. 1-2, breaking ball, called strike 3. No question that time. Steve Zawiski rings him up. And Yetzko in agreement as that ends the top of the second inning. Blue Crabs pick up 1 hit, they strand 1, they score none. At the end of 1.5, it is the Blue Crabs nothing and the Barnstormers 5 on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Happy to have you back in the bottom of the second inning as Andretti Cordero comes to the plate. And the first pitch was low, the 1-0, and this one's a high pop-up in the center field. And Collier lost it, found it at the last moment, reached up, and just barely made the catch. The edge of his glove, and there is one away in the bottom of the second inning. A quick out for Eddie Butler. Exactly what the doctor ordered for Southern Maryland. As Trayvon Robinson digs in from the left side. Pitch, line drive, foul, third base side. One pitch, that's a little low. The count 1 ball and 1 strike. And now the 1-1 offering from Butler. It's a little bit away. Two balls, 1 strike, 1 out on Trayvon Robinson. The pitch, that's a big swing and a miss. And the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Two balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. And the pitch on the ground over to second base. Fielded by Ian Yetzko, who fires the first in time to get the speedy Robinson. And now 2 up and 2 down from Butler. Very different than the first inning. That went in the Barnstormers' favor. Now a note on the game from earlier today. In the World Baseball Classic qualifiers, it was Great Britain and Germany. Did not have a chance to check who had won that ball game prior to the interview, as there was a very long rain delay there. And the game had just restarted when we had gotten here. As the first pitch is low for ball 1. So we didn't get a chance to check the score of the Germany game or the update. At the time the ball game wasn't finished either. 1-0 pitch. It has finished now. Finished up just about an hour ago. As the pitch count is 1 ball and 1 strike. So you'll hear about that in the interview with Joe DeLuca. We'll be playing that in between innings from here until the interview is over. But earlier today, Great Britain took down Germany in Game 2 of the series, or in Game 2 of the World Baseball Classic, as the 1-1 pitch is a strike, and the count 1-2. And with the victory for Great Britain, they move into the Winners Bracket Championship. 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss from Anderson Feliz. He goes down on strikes. So Great Britain is 1 game away from clinching a spot in the World Baseball Classic, and they have 2 chances to do it. All right, well, it's a 1-2-3 inning from Eddie Butler. Looked much better there in the second. We'll step aside when we come back. It's the top of the third inning. The Blue Crabs look to get the bats going on the other side. We are just,
but I mean it happens, you know. And then the walk, you know, kind of an average day, I guess.
Fair enough. Well, you've seen yourself. Let's talk a little bit about the defensive side of the ball now. So you were catching for a long while when Ryan Haug was out and you'd returned from injury, and now you're playing a lot at first base. And have you seen a lot of development from yourself at that first base position, having played it a little bit last year and then playing it more this year?
To be honest, I've played probably just as many games at first base as I have catching, so I've always been comfortable there. I think it's a pretty easy transition, just because as a catcher you're in every play. You're kind of all the same mechanics are the same. You know, picking the ball, we have to do that at you know, behind the plate. So it just sort of came naturally, and obviously I have a big body, so it's a little bit easier for the infielders to throw over there. But I'm comfortable there. I mean, I love catching. I'd rather catch than play first, just because I'm, a lot more loose. I'm in the game. I gotta, it's an intelligence spot. But it is nice to play first. Sometimes you get a little relaxation, I guess, from going from catching. But like I said, I'm comfortable over there. I enjoy it. It's certainly better than DHing.
I'm sure. You've been there a couple of times this year, but you've been in the field basically every game so far this year. Let's talk about the first pitch to Mike Falsetti, a little bit upstairs in the count, 1 ball and no strikes. The catcher who bats from the right side. 5-0 Lancaster. You got a little bit of a taste of what Joe DeLuca thinks about playing in the field, as the 1-0 pitch is a called strike. And the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. Rather be behind the plate. I think every catcher first baseman will probably say that. And the pitch, swing and a miss from Mike Falsetti. Count is 2-1. I thought that 1-1 pitch was a called strike. I guess it wasn't. The 2-1 pitch now is upstairs and over the head of the catcher Chris Proctor. In the count, 3 balls and 1 strike now on Falsetti. And as far as starting a rally is concerned, I think that would go a long ways as far as getting that first runner on. 3-1 pitch to Falsetti. Check swing, did he go? No, he did not. And is it? I guess I had it right. It was 1-2. It was 2-2, and now it's 3-2. Our scoreboard here had it at 3-1, and the TrackMan had it at 3-1. Now the pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. So instead of a walk, there is 1 away in the 3rd inning. I found most times when I've got a different count than the scoreboard does, I've usually had it right, though I've usually ended up deferring to the first base, to the home scoreboard. And here comes Jack Sundberg. And the pitch, called strike, and the count 0-1 on Sundberg. Oh, 1 pitch to Sundberg. That's away. Count 1-1. Sundberg homered yesterday. A home run that's probably out of most ballparks in the Atlantic League. But the home run earlier from Shawan Dunston Jr., a fly out in 8 of the 9 Atlantic League ballparks. Not here, though. 1-1 pitch. A little upstairs in the count, 2-1. There's nowhere that's got a short porch like it is here. 2-1 pitch, hard swing and a miss, count 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out in the top of the 3rd inning. I would have thought that on that issue with the count when they had it wrong here in the ballpark, that our home plate umpire in tonight's ball game, Steve Zawiski, would have made a correction. 2-2 pitch, a little bit away, and the count 3 balls and 2 strikes on Jack Sundberg. That Mike Falsetti had. The issue for Southern Maryland here as well is that the Barnstormers bullpen's so deep. 3-2 pitch, line drive foul, 3rd base side toward a grassy hill. And the count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. They've got a grassy hill out down the 3rd base line in foul territory, and it goes into the outfield, out in left field, out towards center field as well. Right field, they got the picnic deck. 3-2 pitch, that's low and away. It's ball 4. I was talking to Sundberg before the day, and he told me about a month ago that while he set the stolen base record, what he really wants is 50 steals. So I said today, you got 2 games left, you're at 45 steals. And he said, I know, and I wouldn't be surprised we see a steal right here from Jack Sundberg. You got to get that toward 50. We'll see if he ends up getting there. Either way, he is the Blue Crabs' all-time stolen base record leader at 45 steals, beating the previous record of 37. 45 out of 51. And the first pitch, called strike, looked maybe a little up and away, but the pitcher Chris Proctor gets the benefit of the doubt on Michael Wolanski, who turned his head in disagreement after the call from the home plate umpire Steve Zawiski. "5-0 Lancaster. 5 runs on 6 hits in the first. Toss over to first to check on Sundberg. Count, no balls and 1 strike. I mean, just to give you an idea, 45 out of 51 is nearly a 90% clip. It's really, really impressive. 0-1 pitch. Popped him up in the infield and foul territory. And it is the first baseman, Jacob Barfield, who makes the catch going down to one knee, as he had a little bit of trouble tracking it as well, and there are 2 away in the top of the 3rd inning. And now Jared Walker comes to the plate. Walker, the lefty, against Cameron Gann, the righty. And at this point for the Blue Crabs here in the 3rd inning, you have no runs on 1 hit. And you'd have to think that, just try to manufacture a run any way possible. Like, regardless of the stolen base record or anything else, trying to get a runner into scoring position here with 2 outs. Pitch runs low and in. And the count 1 ball and no strikes now on Walker. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 outs. And the 1-0 offering. We'll have to wait as he tosses over to first. "5-0. Lancaster on top of Southern Maryland. 1-0 pitch. Big swing and a miss. In the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. Really not much wind, if any, today. The weather in Lancaster, by and large, pretty nice. Also a very nice city right around the ballpark here. And a toss over to first base. Check on Jack Sundberg. We typically stay at a hotel that's about 15 minutes away from the ballpark, but for today's ball game, or for the first 2 games of the series, they had us about 5 minutes from the ballpark, right downtown in Lancaster. Pitch up and away, count 2-1. And it's a great area. You don't really get that feel when you're across in the other part of town, about 15 minutes away off the highway. So it's just a completely different feel in the downtown area. It's a really nice downtown area here in Lancaster. 2-1 pitch, up and away, count 3 balls and a strike. And that's where the ballpark is. The ballpark is part of this whole downtown stretch. Three balls, 1 strike, and 2 outs. And the pitch, big swing and a miss yet again. A foul tip into the mitt of Chris Proctor, to be exact. And the count, 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Top of the 3rd inning. All Barnstormers so far, 5-0, as the Blue Crabs trying to chip away at the deficit. Runner on first base and 2 outs. Count, 3 balls and 2 strikes on Jared Walker. Here's the 3-2. Swinging a high pop-up third base side. This one tailing a long run for Trace Lair, who runs out of room as he gets past the ivy and that chain link fence down the third base side. And the count, 3 balls and 2 strikes it remains. A lot of character to this ballpark here in Lancaster as well, with the ivy down that third base side. There's not a lot of ivy, and I don't think you can see it through the camera on the broadcast, but down the third base side, it's past the dugout, it's past the tarp, and there's ivy right by this chain link fence that goes down toward the left field corner. There's not a lot, it's just enough to make it so, just something extra added into this ballpark, the short portion right now. Here is the 3-2 once more. It's low, it's ball 4. And there are runners on first and second with 2 outs. Oh, it brings up David Harris. Harris is 0 for 1. He struck out his first time up. But with 2 on and 2 out, he's got an opportunity to get the Blue Crabs back in this ball game. Down 5-0. Shawan Dunston Jr. out in right field, making his return to the lineup here in Lancaster. Another big piece for that series. Pitch, swinging and a miss, count 0-1. That playoff series upcoming. Give you an idea of some of the numbers for Dunston, who hit a home run earlier today, has a batting average that is top 300 up to 301. Also walked once today. Count 0-1 on David Harris for now, though. Pitch, breaking ball, and he's way out in front. Count 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 2 on for the Blue Crabs, who trail by 5. Sundberg on second, Walker on first. Cameron Gann has not allowed a run across 3 2/3. Here's the pitch, fouled back yet again. Count remains 0-2. Gann has thrown 64 pitches across 2 2/3. So the pitch count high. I think normally you say, well, trying to get the starter out of the ball game, deal with the bullpen. A lot of times the bullpen doesn't quite have what the starter has, control issues. See if you can generate a rally. This bullpen for Lancaster so deep. I mean, one guy after the next pitch. Swinging a high fly ball, shallow left center. It is the center fielder, Trayvon Robinson, who drifts in to make the catch for the final out. Well, the Blue Crabs strand 2 base runners who reach via a walk, or reach via 2 walks. They score none, and they trail 5-0 at the end of 2.5. You're listening to Blue Crabs baseball on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Nick Wells, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Come stay at the Holiday Inn Express Waldorf, where teamwork makes the dream work. A proud sponsor of the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs and your home away from home. The Holiday Inn Express is located at 11,370 Days Court. That's 11370 Days Court, Waldorf, near the Waldorf Shoppers World Shopping Center. Call 301-932-9200 to make a reservation, or look us up at ihg.com or on the IHG app. Come put your feet up and enjoy the complimentary free breakfast and indoor heated pool at the Holiday Inn Express, Waldorf.
first pitch to Jacob Barfield a little bit away, and the count 1 ball and no strikes. We go to the bottom of the 3rd inning, 5-0 Lancaster. Pitch, hard ground ball, third base side foul. Count 1-1 on Eddie Butler, who has seen his ERA rise to 4.91, so just shy of 5. After allowing 5 runs in the first 2 innings. Pitch, that's low and away, count 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike, nobody out. As Butler gets a sign from his catcher, Mike Falsetti. Here's the offering, 2-1, line drive. Oh, it's over the head of the leaping Michael Wolanski over at shortstop. He was tall enough, now trying to extend it into a double throw, and they got him. They say that he went off the bag. Jacob Barfield took his foot off the bag, and the third base umpire, Warren Nicholson, who made the call, very emphatic that Barfield had somehow left the bag. As the line drive to left center, a strong throw from Jack Sundberg to the second baseman, Ian Yetzko. And Yetzko was not positioned all that well after he received the ball, and he had to dive over to try to get Barfield, and he did. He got him at second base as he had seemingly slid off the bag. And now the first pitch from Chris Proctor, skied to left. It is Sundberg who takes a few steps in, now backpedals once and makes the catch. And quickly 2 up and 2 down. Not how I'm sure drew up that single and outfield assist, but he'll take it here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Well, Butler has all of a sudden retired, well, kind of retired, 6 straight. I don't think you can really consider allowing a hit in an outfield assist retiring a batter. Pitch is popped up on the first pitch to Joseph Carpenter. And it is Jack Sundberg who fights the wind and the ball fluttering up top and makes the catch right around shoulder high for the final out. Well, it took just 6 pitches for Eddie Butler to retire the Lancaster Barnstormers in the bottom of the 3rd inning. We go to the top of the 4th on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. It's still 5-0 Lancaster.
3, 2, 1, go get some.
He was the slowest guy out of the 4 guys that came in. I mean, their starter was throwing 98. Their back half of the bullpen was throwing all 98. So I think these games mean a lot. And going into playoffs, obviously you want to have the momentum. But I thought we played well yesterday. We had a couple things not go our way. And, you know, these next 2 games are going to be important for us to get, like I said, the momentum going and sort of, you know, show who's boss, I guess.
Brooks Hall, you saw him last night. You'll probably see him in that playoff series. Does it help having seen him the prior week going into the playoffs?
I'm sure it does. I saw 3 pitches. You know, I bunted 1, and it was a changeup. I saw a ball, and then I got hit. So I saw 3 pitches. But, I mean, Jack had an amazing at-bat against him and crushed that one. So I think it helps. But I don't think you have to go too much into it. I think you stick with the same plan, the same process, and I think Stan does a good job of that. And, you know, we're going to go in and we're going to be swinging the bat. So
we've talked about the last 2 games in this season. Let's now jump into that upcoming playoff series with Lancaster. What does it take to get past a team like this who seems to be playing their best baseball of the year at the right time?
I mean, we've done it before. I think, what was our record against them? Like 11-0, and then they've won the last 3 out of 4. So it's just baseball. You know, things change.
Swinging a high fly ball deep to right field, all the way back in front of the warning track. And it's the right fielder, Shawan Dunston Jr., who tracks it down for the first out. Well struck ball off the bat of Joe DeLuca, who you just heard from moments ago. I was about to introduce him coming back from his interview. And he hit the first pitch very well to the right field side. And there is one away here in the top of the 4th inning. You know, you're only going to get hits if you hit the ball that way, and it's well struck off the bat of Joe DeLuca. But a terrific play out in right for the first out, and there is one away. As Dunston was back at the wall, when he made the catch against Joe DeLuca. 0-1. That's low and away on Zach Collier, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike, and I think you have to sort of take the mentality that Collier does when you hit the ball hard and hit the ball well. That's all you can ask for. From there, just hope that you get lucky. 1-1 pitch, a little low and away. Count 2-1 now on Collier. And the pitch now to Zach Collier is away, and the count 3 balls and 1 strike on the lefty. 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Collier at the plate. Pitch up and away, ball 4. So a walk issued to Zach Collier, and there's a runner on first base and 1 out, as Santiago Chirino comes to the plate. Well, the Blue Crabs have had base runners across the first 3 innings. There's no question about. A lot of them have come via the walk. Well, just to give you an idea of the base runners for Southern Maryland, they have had 1 hit and 3 walks, so 4 base runners in the first 3 innings. And the pitch called strike, and the count 0-1. That, in and of itself, not bad. I mean, you know, it's not great, but it's not terrible. And I think that the Blue Crabs, you look back on, you say, well, they should have had more opportunities. They should have driven in more runs, and that's sort of the case again tonight. 0-1 pitch fouled off toward the netting on the first base side. Count 0-2 now on Santiago Chirino, who is 6 for 13 in a Blue Crabs uniform. Got a hit last night in his last at-bat and has a hit today. It's now 4 consecutive games with a hit for Santiago Chirino. Toss back over to first to check on the runner. It's Zach Collier. As we speak about hit streaks, a couple guys to bring up. Zach Collier has a hit in 8 straight, and Sundberg with an 8-game hitting streak. Swinging a high fly ball, right field side foul from Santiago Chirino. This is a guy that does not strike out a lot at all. His strikeout rate is below 10%. Across his time with Southern Maryland and his time with the New Jersey Jackals in the Frontier League. Previously a member of the Can-Am League before the Can-Am and Frontier Leagues merged. 0-2 pitch, ground ball, foul, first base side. It was a very hard hit. One hopped into the seats. That was a rocket off the bat. I'm not sure if now they're waving somebody over to see if anybody is able to help the person who has seemed to be struck with that line drive. Appears as though it might have been a grounder initially, but I don't think it was. I think it was more of a line drive right over toward that first base side. They were waving somebody over trying to help. It's always tough for the player and, of course, the people who are affected, and that's why a lot of the increase in netting is happening across baseball. Pitch, ground ball, foul, first base side, and the count 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. And you see, I mean, a baseball game, when you're attending a baseball game, I think some people wish it was different, but I mean, a lot of people are doing things other than watching the game, between, you know, talking to friends and taking pictures. Pitch, ground ball over to shortstop on a second for 1. It's the, no, he's safe at second base, and Melvin Mercedes very upset. Warren Nicholson makes the call, safe at second, and Santiago Chirino is going to be safe at first. Oh, I thought for sure he was going to be called out at second base. I think that Collier thought he was going to be called out. He took 1 step off of second base, realized he was safe, and dove right back in. Well, there are two on with 1 out. That call at second, I didn't see it that way, but I'm sure the Blue Crabs will take it, as it's now up for the bottom of the lineup with Yetzko and Falsetti. Yetzko 0 for 1, but he's got 2 on and 1 out now. Yetzko has found some success in Lancaster against the Barnstormers, hitting .310 with a home run and 7 RBIs. Pitch popped up, foul back behind home plate, and the count 0-1 on Yetzko. Collier on second base after he was called safe on what I guess is going to be called an infield single as opposed to a fielder's choice. And the 0-1 pitch, another swing and a miss, count 0-2 as he goes to an off-speed pitch and gets Yetzko swinging. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. And the 1-1 pitch to Yetzko upcoming. Here's the offering. Swinging a ground ball over to third. Fielded on the short hop onto second for 1. Back onto first, not in time. So they do get the out at second this time around. Very well turned by the third baseman, Trace Lair, to the second baseman, Melvin Mercedes, as they try to turn that 5-4-3 double play. They merely get the 5-4 force out. And so it's going to be so Santiago Chirino is going to be called on a fielder's choice, as I had imagined that they thought that if he threw to first base he'd be out. I mean, that's the only thing I could imagine. And they opted to throw to second and take a riskier play, and he's safe. And the pitch called strike on Mike Falsetti in the count 0-1, and that Chirino did not deserve a hit because the fielders decided to take a different route. I guess that's the ruling there, and they decided to throw to second base. Pitch called strike, count 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. With Collier from third and Yetzko from first. Here is the 0-2. Line drive, right field side foul. Count remains no balls and 2 strikes as Cameron Gann has gone 3 2/3 innings, allowing only 1 hit. Yet the Blue Crabs still have runners on the corners. And the pitch way up and in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Count 1-2 on Mike Falsetti. And the offering. Called strike 3. Fastball paints the outside corner, and Falsetti goes down looking. And that ends the top of the fourth inning. While the Blue Crabs had 2 base runners yet again, they couldn't drive in any runs. At the end of 3.5 innings of play, it's the Barnstormers who still have a 5-0 lead over the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
You know, instantly, with one swing of the bat, one pitch, all that. I think that if we keep playing our game and swinging the bats well and pitching well and playing good baseball, I think we'll come out on top. I think we have a better and deeper team, but I definitely do think that they are one of the hotter teams in baseball, or in the league, I should say. Them and High Point coming and winning the second half. That's how it usually is.
Yeah.
But as far as us and Gastonia, you know, being first half champs, I think that you know, I think the 4 best teams are in it, and it's going to be a good series with all teams included. It's just whoever, you know, comes out on top and hits better and pitches better. That's all it is. I mean, I think I believe we'll come out on top.
All right. We got to like that answer. The Blue Crabs fans, I'm sure, will like that answer as well. Got to hope the Blue Crabs come out on top over Lancaster in that playoff series. Let's jump into our next segment. Let's start with the trivia question, Joe. The Blue Crabs had 9 consecutive hits in the first inning of Game 2 of that series against the Long Island Ducks. Okay, 9 consecutive hits in the first inning. What's the most consecutive hits for a team in MLB history?
13.
13 hits. Do you have any recollection or reason you're going with 13?
Nope. First number that came into my head.
All right.
I mean, I don't think we beat the record. I think somebody obviously had a very long record for that. I thought it was cool that ours happened in the first inning,
yeah,
especially with getting 2 outs. Like, Jack got out.
Well, it's the 9-hitter Trace Lair to get things started in the bottom of the 4th inning. And the first pitch is a called strike on the lefty, count 0-1. 5-0 Blue Crabs. I beg your pardon, 5-0 Lancaster over the Blue Crabs. And the 0-1 pitch is up and away. Count 1 ball and 1 strike on Trace Lair. And the pitch. Line drive, right field is right at Jared Walker, who makes the catch just above bell tie. And there is 1 away in the bottom of the 4th inning. And here comes Shawan Dunston Jr. Oh, Dunston will step in, digs that back left foot in the batter's box. 5-0 Lancaster. And the pitch, called strike, count 0-1. For those of you just joining us, the Blue Crabs in the blue jerseys with the gray pants and the red socks. And the pitch to Dunston, swinging a high fly ball, deep right field. You can forget about this one. A solo shot off the bat of Shawan Dunston Jr. It's a 6-0 lead for Lancaster as he belts that ball over the wall and right. Shawan Dunston Jr. has given the Barnstormers a 6-0 lead in the bottom of the 4th inning. That ball was blasted to right. No doubter here in Lancaster. That's a ball that gets out at a number of ballparks across the Atlantic League. And Melvin Mercedes steps in. He's got a song that sounds a lot like El Picante's song, who plays for the Charleston Dirty Birds. And the pitch is low and away. Count 1 ball and no strikes. I believe he's also playing for Team Spain as part of the World Baseball Classic. And the pitch, this one, a line drive, hard hit, past the diving reach of Joe DeLuca into right field. It's 6-0 Barnstormers, and then another base hit. There's a runner on first base and one out. Well, to an extent, Eddie Butler settled down after a very tough first inning. Had a 1-2-3 second. In the third inning, he allowed a single, but a strong play and a strong throw from Jack Sundberg cut that single into a single and a outfield assist. Pitch fouled back from Andretti Cordero, and the count 0-1. No balls, one strike, and one out in the bottom of the fourth inning. Andretti Cordero 1 for 2 on the day, a .338 batting average. Oh, 1 pitch. Ground ball over to second, could be two. Yetzko the flip to short. The throw on to first in time. 4-6-3 double play. Yetzko to Wolanski to DeLuca to end the bottom of the fourth inning, but not before Shawan Dunston goes deep for the second time tonight. It's 6-0 Lancaster at the end of 4 on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Happy birthday to Master Gunnery Sergeant Salvers. Happy birthday.
Mike got out, and then 9 straight hits, and they got their 2 outs, or they got their 2 hits the next time they came off the bat, and then we got thrown out at the plate. So I don't know if that's ever happened, but I'm going to say 13.
Okay, we'll give you the answer after we're done with this. A couple notes on that, though. Michael Wolanski, I talked to him on one of our pregame shows back in Long Island. He told me that there was a lot of pressure coming up second time around. Everyone else had gotten the hit, and then he needed the hit. It just sort of squeaked through there on the left side. Second thing there, Blue Crabs had 4 consecutive RBI singles to end the inning. It would have been 5 consecutive. I tried to do some research on it. There's not much as far as record keeping for consecutive RBI singles. It's kind of a niche stat there. But I don't know if that's ever happened. 5 consecutive RBI singles.
Who knows? I mean, MLB's got so many crazy stats, like, oh, this guy got a hit every day that it's 70 degrees
Yeah, right.
with the wind blowing at 0.2 miles an hour. I mean, so you never know. But it was a fun inning for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, on to our Your Opinion segment. Joe, you played in Panama last year. You got to experience some of the Caribbean with the Caribbean World Series. We've done this question a couple of times, but I think it's worth revisiting. The question today is, if you move a Major League Baseball team out of the U.S. and Canada, what country or city are they going to?
What's the closest city in Mexico? Tijuana?
I think so.
I think that's probably where they'd go.
Now we go to the top of the 5th inning. It's Jack Sundberg who will step in, the leadoff man for the Blue Crabs. And the first pitch is low for ball 1. The Blue Crabs have had 6 base runners over the course of the first 4 innings and have nothing to show for it. In fact, have only 1 hit to show for it. And a hit, a fielder's choice, and 4 walks. And the 1-0 pitch is up and away, count 2-0. Got to hear from Joe DeLuca moments ago. He guessed 13 for the most consecutive hits by a Major League Baseball team in a ball game. Blue Crabs, of course, had 9 consecutive against the Long Island Ducks. We did not make this into a trivia question. If you've listened to previous broadcasts, you know the answer to this one. But we'll make it into today's trivia question because we don't have one other than that. So let's see. How many hits? Let's see if anybody here knows or remembers from back when I gave the answer or it was not Sunday, it was Tuesday. I think I've got the day wrong again. Thursday. That sounds right to me. Thursday. That what the right answer was as far as the most consecutive hits in an MLB game. We didn't make it a trivia question, but if you can remember back to Thursday as to what the most consecutive hits was by an MLB team in an inning. Pitch, foul back. Count remains 2-2. Now the funny thing was that the Blue Crabs still had an active streak going despite the fact the inning was over because Michael Wolanski got a hit. And there was an outfield assist with Baca being thrown out at the plate. So it was 9 consecutive. We went into the second inning, though, and Jared Walker could not get the hit. Pitch, ground ball. This one over to second. Fielded in the backhand by Mercedes. The throw to first is in time to get Jack Sundberg. And there's one away in the top of the 5th inning. And here comes Michael Wolanski. And we spoke about where you'd move an MLB team. Should they leave the U.S. and Canada? Are they going to the Dominican Republic? Are they going to Puerto Rico? Are they going to Mexico? Where are they going? There's a little more on that at the end of the top of the 5th inning as we continue our interview with Joe DeLuca. And the pitch to Wolanski, swinging a line drive, well struck to right center field. Wolanski's going to push for second. The throw is not in time as Shawan Dunston picked it up and dropped it twice out in right center. And so there's a runner on second base with one out in the top of the 5th inning. 6-0 Lancaster, but an opportunity for the Blue Crabs to start chipping away. I mean, even if you only get a run here in the 5th, get something going as there's a runner on second base with one out. Well, Jared Walker steps in. He taps home plate a few times. Here is the offering. Swing and a miss. Fastball blew it by him. The count 0-1. No balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Top of the 5th inning, 6-0 Lancaster. 6 runs across 4 innings. Pitch, wave and a miss yet again. Count 1 ball and 2 strikes. One-two pitch upcoming to Jared Walker. And the pitch, wave and a miss, strike 3. And there are now 2 away in the top of the 5th inning. And now here comes David Harris with Michael Wolanski on second.
Designated hitter, David Harris.
Runner on second base, 2 outs for David Harris. Harris waves that bat behind his helmet. And the pitch inside, and the count 1 ball and no strikes. One ball, no strikes, and 2 outs on the righty. And the pitch, breaking ball, is way out in front of it, and the count 1-1. Now we've seen David Harris be able to really stay back on some of those breaking balls. Doesn't have as big of a leg kick. And if you've got the same leg kick, and it's a big leg kick, you can oftentimes find yourself off balance with pitches that are not the speed you're looking for. And the pitch, wave and a miss again on a breaking ball that's low and out of the zone. David Harris usually good at identifying a breaking ball and good at hitting the breaking balls, but tonight, a couple of strikeouts, and he's chased 2 breaking balls out of the zone. Count 1-2 on the righty. Here's the pitch. Way up and in, count 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 6-0. The Barnstormers lead the Blue Crabs. The 2-2 pitch to David Harris, inbound, swing and a foul tip. And that's, I believe, might have found Jacob Barfield in a bad spot. He seems to have shaken it off fine enough, though. Well, we'll play on. It's Wolanski from second with 2 outs, 6-0. Barnstormers lead. Harris 0 for 2 so far. Was down on the count. 1-2. Now the count 2-2. Pitch low and away. Count 3-2 now. Count 3 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs in the top of the 5th inning. A look ahead of the playoffs again, and based on what we've seen today, I mean, what this starting rotation might look like, I'd be surprised if we see more than a 3-man starting rotation. 3-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. We'll talk more about what the Blue Crabs rotation might look like come playoff time when we come back. Blue Crabs strand 1, they score none. At the end of 4.5, it is the Barnstormers who have a 6-0 lead over Southern Maryland. You're listening to Blue Crabs baseball on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. So just across the border, why is that?
I mean, Toronto's just around the border. If they were to go any higher, I think it makes for a little bit worse of travel. I mean, not that it's a different country. I mean, who knows? If they change Toronto back to like a Montreal team, that was cool. I played in Trois-Rivières, which is an hour away. I'm not really too familiar where Cancun is. I've never been there.
Mexico City a spot?
I don't know. Whatever is, I guess, like the safest and coolest city, I think would be a good choice, and also not too far away from like San Diego or wherever is the closest there.
You played in the Dominican briefly, right?
Yeah, Santo Domingo.
And do you think that's a possibility, or there's no way?
I mean, the baseball there is by far like the craziest baseball I've ever experienced. Playing in that Mexico versus Dominican Republic in the Caribbean World Series was like just the best experience I've ever had on a baseball field, and they are truly obsessed, and that is like they live and breathe baseball. So if they put a major league stadium there, I think that's too hard, just because you can't get there by bus, but it would be a very, very cool spot to play because they really enjoy their baseball there.
Okay, one more note on travel here. Ryan Haug said, let's put a team in England. I think Michael Wolanski said he wanted a team in Japan. So some of your teammates seem to think that we're going quite a ways. Well, Eddie Butler back on the mound in the 5th inning. The pitch to Trayvon Robinson is low, and the count 1 ball and no strikes on the lefty. And the pitch, that's away, count 1-1. 6-0. Barnstormers over the Blue Crabs. For the Barnstormers, 6 runs on 9 hits. For Southern Maryland, no runs on 2 hits. And the 2-0 pitch is a called strike, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike. It will be Trayvon Robinson, followed by Anderson Felice and Jacob Barfield in the 2-1 pitch. Up and away, count 3-1. And one thing Butler does not do a lot is walk batters, though tonight he has struggled with that a little bit as well. He's walked 2. And the 3-1 pitch, a drive to right. That ball sails over the wall in right field for a home run. A line drive home run off the bat of Trayvon Robinson over the Ames construction sign. It's 7-0 Lancaster. Wow, this ball game has just continues to get worse for Southern Maryland as the Lancaster Barnstormers have put up a 7 spot across 4+ innings, and I'm not sure that Stan Clyburn is interested in using much of his bullpen today. And the pitch is a called strike on Anderson Felice. Now, I am very interested in seeing which direction the Blue Crabs go today. As the pitch, breaking ball fouled off third base side. I'd imagine he wants his 7, 8, and 9 bullpen guys to go one more time in the regular season before he puts them out in the postseason. But I would have thought it would have been today, Saturday, as the pitch came up, and I guess it was a foul ball from Felice. I looked out toward the bullpen for a moment. Maybe he came up and in. Either way, Felice lost the bat in the process. As I was looking out toward the bullpen where Ryan Haug is walking out there as they're going to do some work out in the pen and get somebody up and going. And the 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss from Anderson Felice, and he strikes out. There is one away in the bottom of the 5th inning. 7-0 Lancaster. And now here comes Chris Proctor. Well, for Butler, 7 runs across 4 1/3. He's allowed 10 hits and 2 walks. And the pitch to Barfield, fouled off first base side. This is a series, his last series in the regular season, where appears to be all Barnstormers. This in games 1 and game 2 as well. Blue Crabs at risk of being swept tomorrow if this game holds. As the 1-1 pitch, foul back, count 0-2. Jacob Barfield. Base paths are empty. 0-2. High pop up. First base side, foul territory. It's DeLuca and Falsetti who give chase and run out of room. Count 0-2 on Jacob Barfield. Count 0-2 it remains. We're going to run you through some scores from around the Atlantic League today. In just one moment. Here's the pitch. Popped up. Foul territory again on the first base side. And again, Falsetti's going to run out of room. The count remains 0-2 with 1 out. Nobody on. 7-0 Lancaster. Well, every team has either clinched or is eliminated. We have a doubleheader going on right now. The Wild Health Genomes and the Lexington Legends playing. It's Wild Health who won 8-6 over Lexington in game 1. Game 2 is even at 1 on the top of the 2nd. In the top of the 8th, 5-3 Staten Island over Long Island. Pitch, ground ball foul, third base side. And the bottom of the 6th inning, Gastonia and Charleston are level at 3. And in the top of the 6th, it is York who has a 5-4 lead over the High Point Rockers. And the 0-2 pitch to Jacob Barfield. Another pop up and foul ground. This one headed toward the seats. Directly in front of us, and it falls in maybe the second row after it was knocked down by, I think, one of the suite level ceilings, roofings. 0-2 offering now. That's low in the dirt. The count 1-2. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Here is the offering now again from Butler, and a lengthy at bat, ground ball. Nice sliding stop at short by Wolanski, who flips to first in time. 7 pitches. Butler did not throw a ball on that entire at bat. And it's Butler who ends up winning the battle as Wolanski makes a nice play at shortstop. And there are 2 away. 7-0. It's the Barnstormers who will lead the Blue Crabs. 5 in the first, 1 in the fourth, and 1 in the fifth. 3 home runs for Lancaster in today's ball game. And the first pitch low, and the count 1 ball and no strikes. And the pitch, ground ball over towards shortstop. Fielded by Wolanski, throw to first, they got him. Oh, that was a very, very close play. Chris Proctor runs incredibly well down that first base line. I thought he might have gotten in there safely, but either way, he is thrown out at first base. So after allowing a solo home run to Trayvon Robinson, it is a 1-2-3 inning from there, getting Feliz, Barfield, and Proctor to end the inning. Well, the Barnstormers score 1 more, though. They lead it 7-0 as we go to the top of the 6th.
If we're playing the World Baseball Classic, we'll put one in every big city in every country. I mean, put one in Italy, put one in France, put one in Japan. I mean, that's a completely different entity in and of itself.
I said MLB. And
I think Toronto is close enough to America that it still counts as America, and same with Tijuana.
Okay.
You know, I think those are like count as, you know, other countries, but also are close enough to, you know, the States where it's not a super big deal to get there.
All right, well, fair enough. One last thing here, your teammates, a couple of them right now. Alex Crosby, Raul Shaw playing for Team Great Britain. They had a win yesterday. They were playing in today's ball game. Not sure if you were checking up on the score there. They were ahead 3-1 when they went into a rain delay.
Playing Germany, right?
Germany today, yep. So, I mean, that's got to be a pretty cool experience. I mean, what it means to represent your country. Are you cheering them on overseas?
Oh, absolutely. I got actually a couple buddies that are playing. One's playing for Team Spain, obviously Great Britain. They got a couple of guys. I do know one guy on Germany. I'm sure I know a couple others playing elsewhere, but I think it's a great experience, and it's kind of tough that it's right now happening, you know, during our playoff push and whatnot, but, you know, you got to do it sometime, and I think, you know, why not now, I guess. I think we're the only league still playing.
Right. That AA and AAA just sort of finished up recently.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd love to go play for Team Italy, but I don't know if I have the paperwork for all that. But I'd love to go see what all that has to offer.
All right, Joe. Well, thanks so much. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you just heard from Joe DeLuca and his pregame show interview as we played that throughout the broadcast between innings. And it is Joe DeLuca who will step in from the left side. Got a couple of comments to get to in the YouTube chat, so we'll get there momentarily. As Joe DeLuca digs in. As Donald Goodson is the new pitcher for the Lancaster Barnstormers, 5'11", 180 pounds out of Detroit, Michigan. And the pitch is a swinging strike from Joe DeLuca. And the count, no balls and 1 strike. 0-1. Check swing, did he go? Yes, he did. Count 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, no outs. Oh-2 delivery, wave and a miss, strike 3, another breaking ball, and Donald Goodson serves Joe DeLuca a straight diet of 3 curveballs in the same spot, and DeLuca goes down on strikes. There is 1 away. Well, Zach Collier, the lefty, will dig in as the Blue Crabs appear poised to lose this series, as barring a 7-run comeback, they will fall to the Lancaster Barnstormers. Pitch. It's a little bit away. Count 1 ball and no strikes on Zach Collier. And the 1-0, called strike. That one just at the bottom of the zone. And they count 1 ball and 1 strike. And the 1-1 pitch, a ground ball slowly to second. Gonna be a tough play. Mercedes barehands it and fires in time. Oh, how about that play from Melvin Mercedes, who barehands it over at second and flips to first for the second out. Well, let's get to some of these YouTube comments. It's 7-0 Lancaster. This game going very poorly. Maybe we can get things back on track as we check out the YouTube chat this evening. Susan H. says, let's go Blue Crabs. Tammy Shipley says, good evening, everyone. Blaine Pilkerton, our official scorer, let's go Blue Crabs. Multi Apples, he comes in with his daily comment, which is the same every day. He just says, good game. And look, I think it's a good game. I think baseball is a good game. So I tend to agree. And the pitch, ground ball to third. Oh, a really nice play by the third baseman, Trace Lair, who fires to first in time to get Santiago Chirino and end the bottom of the 5th inning. It took a couple of flashy plays defensively to finish the top of the 6th and retire the Blue Crabs in order. A terrific play by Melvin Mercedes to barehand one and get the out on Zach Collier, and Santiago Chirino on a ground ball to third ends the inning. Well, we are finished with 5.5. We'll get to the rest of those YouTube comments when we come back on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Daryl Thompson, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
All right, third base side, same song, same place. Here we go.
Well, we welcome you back in the bottom of the 6th inning, and it is Dario Polanco who comes on the mound for the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. Well, let's run you through some more comments here on the Hometown Real Estate broadcast. Polanco steps onto the mound for Southern Maryland. The first pitch is a called strike, and the count 0-1. 7-0 Lancaster. That's the score tonight. That's why Blue Crabs have gone away from Butler after 5 innings of work. 7 runs on 10 hits and a couple of walks. Pitch, ground ball over to shortstop, fielded by Michael Wolanski. The toss to first and plenty of time. And there is one away. Dario Polanco last pitch last night. A 1-2-3 inning from the lefty. On the year, a 3-0 record, a 6.82 earned run average, and a 1.85 whip. Here comes Trace Lair. Polanco, the first pitch. Low in the count. 1 ball and no strikes. Let's go through this YouTube chat now. Susan H. says, let's go Blue Crabs. Tammy Shipley, good evening, everyone. Blaine Pilkerton, let's go Blue Crabs. Donnie Geeky says, let's get it together, Blue Crabs. Watching from Powder Springs, Georgia. Well, it's good to hear from you, Donnie. Susan H. says, hi, everybody. As the 1-0 pitch is fouled back. I'm watching from Ashburn, Virginia. Actually watching while I sell art at an event. Austin, I can't listen in. There's a mediocre DJ behind me. Come on, Blue Crabs. Well, best of luck selling your art, Susan. And the pitch, line drive, right center field, rather deep. This one back, it's off the wall. And Jared Walker has trouble playing it. It's actually Collier, the center fielder, who ends up getting there first and firing in a second, but not in time to get Trace Lair. And there's a runner on second base and 1 out. Walker did not play that ball perfectly as he went up against the wall, and that ball hit off the Planet Fitness sign. It got by him on the ricochet, and it was Collier there to try to clean it up and throw to second, but not in time. So a runner on to second base with 1 out. It's a ball that in Southern Maryland's probably caught. I mean, I'd have to think that just based on the way that Walker has to play a ball here in Lancaster, he probably makes that catch in Southern Maryland, but it's very close. But either way, it is a double off the bat of Trace Lair as Shawan Dunston Jr., who's usually not thought of as a premier power threat, comes to the plate. He has just 5 home runs this year, and he's 2 for 2 with 2 home runs tonight. Pitch up and in, count 1 ball and no strikes. Runner on second base and 1 out. And Dario Polanco the pitch, swinging a high fly ball. Center field rather deep. Collier jumps on his horse, back to the warning track in front of the wall. He tracked it down at center. Oh, what a play. Now tagging, trying to go to third. And Yetzko's going to fire on the relay, not quite in time. As Zach Collier makes an outstanding catch in front of the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services home sale realty sign in straightaway center field on the batter's eye. And there's a runner on third base with 2 outs. We'll talk about a guy who can field his position effectively. Zach Collier makes a terrific play in center field. 2 away, bottom of the 6th inning. First pitch, a little bit low and away. Count 1-0. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 outs. Well, now to run through the rest of the YouTube chat. Multi-Apple says he went from good game to awesome game. The 1-0 pitch, a called strike, count 1-1. Meanwhile, Raul Shaw says, hey everyone, America's favorite night owl is back. Oh, Raul, what time is it over there in Germany? 2:30 this morning? Pitch, foul back. And the count 1-2. He says, we won, exclamation point. I responded, big wins for Great Britain. Need to win just 1 of 2 games to qualify down the stretch. And the 1-2. Line drive foul, first base side. Back to some of those scores around the Atlantic League. And following the 1-2 here to Melvin Mercedes. Pitch, swinging a high fly ball. Left field, not very deep. Sundberg comes in, he makes the catch overhead as he leaps for the final out. Let's run through the scores before we go to break. 8-6 Wild Health over Lexington. That's final. The 4 games in progress. It's Wild Health over Lexington 3-1 to the bottom of the second in game 2. It's Long Island and Staten Island who are level at 5 in the top of the 9th. It's York over High Point 6-5 in the top of the 7th. Charleston over Gastonia 4-3 in the top of the 7th. And the Lancaster Barnstormers leading the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs by a score of 7-0. We'll step aside when we come back. It's time for the top of the 7th inning. The Blue Crabs have a lot of work to do and more when we come back on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. We are back in the top of the 7th inning. The first pitch is low to Ian Yetzko, and the count 1 ball and no strikes on the righty. It's 7-0 Lancaster in the top of the 7th inning. At this point, I'd imagine that we see Polanco for the 8th and 9th, and that's it. And the pitch called strike, count 0-1. You do find yourself in a bit of a peculiar situation, though, where tomorrow they've also Herrera going. 1-0 pitch, fouled back. I'd imagine Herrera goes as long as he can go. As the count 1 ball and 2 strikes now on Sundberg. But it gets back to that point with the bullpen. You don't want to use somebody who for more than an inning because he only has 1 day off. 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. Yetzko chases a breaking ball, and he's 0 for 3 tonight. As there is 1 away in the top of the 7th inning for Ian Yetzko. That is his 2nd strikeout. It's Falsetti who comes to the plate. He's 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. The pitch is in there for a called strike on Mike Falsetti. And the count 0-1 with 1 away in the top of the 7th. 7-0. Lancaster over Southern Maryland. The pitch. Another wave and a foul tip. Count 0-2. And the 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Took 3 pitches for Donald Goodson to retire Mike Falsetti, and there are 2 away in the top of the 7th. And here comes Jack Sundberg. He's got an 8-game hit streak going, but he's still searching for his first hit today. He has walked. On-base streak lives on. Not the 34-game on-base streak, but an on-base streak. And we'll go from 8 to 9. The hit streak, not quite there yet, though. Might have one more at bat after this. Pitch, line drive, shallow left center. Long run for the left fielder. That's Joseph Carpenter who makes the catch in shallow left to end the inning. Well, a 1-2-3 inning for the Blue Crabs. That was awfully quick for Donald Goodson. 4 pitches on the strikeout to Jack Sundberg. A 3-pitch strikeout to Mike Falsetti. And a fly out to left from Jack Sundberg. Well, another 1-2-3 inning. The Blue Crabs score none. They strand none at the end of 6.5. It's time for the 7th inning stretch. Lancaster leads 7-0 on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This is Nick Wells, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
Come stay at the Holiday Inn Express Waldorf, where teamwork makes the dream work. A proud sponsor of the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs and your home away from home. The Holiday Inn Express is located at 11,370 Days Court. That's 11370 Days Court, Waldorf, near the Waldorf Shoppers World Shopping Center. Call 301-932-9200 to make a reservation or look us up at ihg.com or on the IHG app. Come put your feet up and enjoy the complimentary free breakfast and indoor heated pool at the Holiday Inn Express, Waldorf.
First pitch swinging from Andretti Cordero, belted out to deep left. This one back at the wall. First pitch solo home run off the bat of Andretti Cordero over the BCF group sign in left field as Jack Sundberg chased that ball as far as he'd go. But a solo shot off the bat of Andretti Cordero, and it is a 1-0 an 8-0 Barnstormers lead as they add another run here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Well, Andretti Cordero goes deep, and now here comes Trayvon Robinson. Well, if last night's 5-2 was a game to forget, this one has unfortunately gone significantly worse. As the pitch is low in the dirt, count 1 ball and no strikes. One ball, no strikes, no outs. And the pitch. Up and away, count 2-0. Last night, the Blue Crabs scored 2 runs on 4 hits. They still have 2 innings to go, but so far, no runs on 2 hits for Southern Maryland. Pitch popped him up. Shallow center field. It's Michael Wolanski into shallow center, who gets under it, makes the catch right around head high for the first out. I've given you some of the updates from around the Atlantic League. Let's run through some MLB scores on a Saturday night in early September. White Sox and Tigers level at 2 in the bottom of the 9th. The Rays over the Rangers 5-1. A doubleheader between the Guardians and the Twins today. In Game 1, the Guardians won 5-1. In Game 2, Guardians ahead 4-0. Pitch, few hops over to shortstop. Michael Wolanski fields and fires in time. And now quickly 2 away for Dario Polanco in the bottom of the 7th. Brewers lead the Yankees 3-1. The Astros trail the Athletics 6-4. The Mets on top. They're over the Pirates 3-0. And the Cardinals and Reds in a doubleheader. In Game 1 of that doubleheader, the Cardinals won 5-1. In Game 2, it's scoreless in the top of the 7th. The Phillies trail the Braves 2-0 in the 4th. And the Diamondbacks and Padres are scoreless in the 2nd. And the pitch, this one, ground ball through the hole on the left side, past the outstretched diving reach of Michael Wolanski. It's a 2-out base hit for Jacob Barfield. And there's a runner on first base with 2 outs in the top of the 8th. Back to the scores, it's the Blue Jays over the Orioles 6-3, and the Nationals over the Marlins 5-3. The Royals blank the Red Sox tonight 9-0. You'd like an update on where teams stand right now in the divisional races in MLB? It's the Yankees over the Blue Jays by 5 games. Tampa Bay is 7 back of the Yankees, Baltimore 12 back, and the Red Sox 17.5 back. Pitch called strike, and the count 0-1. The Yankees lead the way with an 87-57 record. In the Central, it's Cleveland, who has a 78-66 record. Chicago 4.5 back, Minnesota 6 back, and Kansas City and Detroit both eliminated. In the West, Houston on top by 14 games over Seattle and Texas. I mean, the year the Houston Astros are having, only bested by the LA Dodgers, who are having a year that is nearly historic. As the pitch is fouled off by Chris Proctor, count 0-1. Mets have a 1-game lead over the Phillies in the NL East. And the pitch, swing and a miss, count. Oh, I beg your pardon, the count was already 0-2. Our scoreboard read 0-1. I had it at 0-1, but we're both wrong this time around. That was strike 3 as Proctor goes down on strikes to end the bottom of the 7th inning. Lancaster scores 1. We'll keep it right here for a couple more moments. It is the Cardinals who have an 8-game lead over Milwaukee. The Cubs are just about to be eliminated in the NL Central race. The NL West, it's the LA Dodgers, who are 99-44. Second place San Diego, 21 games back, and the San Diego Padres have actually had a pretty darn good year this year in many respects, as the Padres are in a playoff spot and sit 21 games back of first place in their division. Well, that will do it from us here in the bottom of the 7th inning. We go to the top of the 8th, as Donald Goodson going to be back on the mound for the Lancaster Barnstormers, as he was rolling through 2 innings of work against the Blue Crabs. He'd struck out 3, has not allowed a base runner. Well, we go to the top of the 8th. You're listening to Blue Crabs Baseball on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Now Michael Wolanski steps in, and the first pitch from Goodson is away for ball one, and the count 1 ball and no strikes on the righty Michael Wolanski. And the 1-0. That's away. Count 2-0. 2 balls and no strikes on Michael Wolanski. This pitch swinging a line drive straight away center field, sends Trayvon Robinson back a few steps, and he makes the catch on a very well struck ball off the bat of Michael Wolanski. But still, it's just 1 away in the top of the 8th. That's all it is. An 8-0, I should say, Barnstormers lead in the top of the 8th inning with 1 away. Well, not an issue of how hard the ball was hit. That ball was smoked off the bat of Michael Wolanski at 106 miles per hour. But it's been that kind of day for the Blue Crabs. You know, anything that could go wrong does go wrong. The pitch, that's a little bit away at 96 from Goodson, and the count 1-0. 1 ball, no strikes, no outs. Wolanski has hit 2 balls north of 100 miles per hour off the bat. 104 and 106. One was a single, one a line out. And a lot of times those are home run balls. The 1-1 pitch is outside. Count 2-1 now on Walker. Jack Sundberg hit the next hardest ball for the Blue Crabs at 96. There's been a lot of balls that are not well hit by the Blue Crabs tonight. Pop-ups, slow ground outs, slow line outs. The 2-1 pitch is foul back, count 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Base paths are empty for the Blue Crabs. 8-0 Lancaster. Pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3.
It's another strikeout brought to you by Penn Medicine. Lancaster General Health and the Children's Hospital.
2 away in the top of the 8th. That brings up David Harris. There have been games this year you look back and you say, not our night, not our night. And you could even say that to an extent last night. But this ball game tonight, certainly one you don't want to remind Blue Crabs fans of, or anybody on the Blue Crabs staff after the way this ball game's gone throughout nearly the entire night. You look back through the schedule and you see some bad losses and say, okay, that was a really bad one. Tonight's a real stinker. This is a tough one to swallow for the Blue Crabs. They trail by 8 tonight. And the pitch in there for a called strike on David Harris, and the count 0-2 now on the righty. That one on the outer half of the plate. Schedule now and seeing how much the most the Blue Crabs have lost by all season. I'm struggling to find one that tops this. It was a 13-0 loss at York. Pitch, swing and a miss. It gets away from the catcher. That's Proctor, who tosses the first, got all the way to the backstop of the screen. It did not look that Harris was all that interested in running to first base, so Proctor picked it up and tossed over to first, and that ends the inning. That's one where, you know, he could have run earlier. I don't think it was a priority of him after he struck out. It is the 4th strikeout for Harris tonight. It's been a really tough go for him and a number of other guys on the team for the Blue Crabs tonight. 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts, I beg your pardon. But he's not the only one who struck out multiple times. Walker with 2 strikeouts, Yetzko with 2, and Falsetti with 3. Well, that does it for the top of the 8th inning. We're done with 7.5 on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. It's the Blue Crabs 8. It's the Blue Crabs, I beg your pardon, it's the Barnstormers 8. It's the Blue Crabs 0 on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
This This is Alex Crosby, and you're listening to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network.
At Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, mortgages are what they do, not who they are. Fairway Mortgage Corporation is a proud partner of the American Warrior Initiative. A key part of this initiative is to educate, encourage, and inspire Americans to give back to our military. Visit their website at www.americanwarriorinitiative.com for more details. Our military fought to protect the American dream. Let's help them live it.
Well, it shows things off in the bottom of the 8th against Dario Polanco, who's gone 2 innings of work so far, and he's surrendered 1 run on 3 hits. The solo shot from Andretti Cordero back in the bottom of the 7th was the only run he's allowed. Was run scoring plays in tonight's ball game. 5 for Lancaster in the 1st, 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, and 1 in the 7th. And an 8-0 lead. Pitch called strike. The count 0-1 on Joseph Carpenter. We have a couple more comments to get to in the YouTube chat. Raul Shah, when he commented, said it was 2:39 a.m. It's now 3 a.m. in Regensburg, Germany. I'm not sure it's worth getting acclimated to that time zone at this point, Raul. I mean, maybe just keep on staying up till 3 or 4, and but before you know it, back in the U.S., it'll be 10 p.m. and you can just go to bed regular time. As the pitch is upstairs, count 2-1. He asked any of the usual suspects in the YouTube chat, and he had comments from Donnie earlier, comments from Susan, from Tammy, and the pitch swinging a high fly ball, deep right field. This ball blasted over the wall and right. A solo shot from Joseph Carpenter, and it's now a 9-0 lead for the Barnstormers. And it's one of those nights tonight. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong as Joseph Carpenter touches home plate, gets the high five from his teammate. And it is a 9-0 lead as Trace Lair will come to the plate. Lair digs in from the left side. And the pitch from Dario Polanco. Wave and a miss, count 0-1. Well, Blue Crabs have not been swept yet this year. We've harped on that point a number of times throughout the course of the season. 0-1 pitch fouled off, third base side, count 0-2. It would be a tough way to finish the season, to get swept by a team, not only get swept for the first time, but get swept by a team you're about to play in the playoffs. 0-2 pitch. Line drive, jam shot up the middle for a base hit off the bat of Trace Lair. And there's a runner on first base with nobody out. Now back to the starting pitching situation for Southern Maryland. I mean, I think that it's sort of a foregone conclusion. We'll see Thompson on Tuesday and Lamson on a Wednesday. If there's any redeeming situation about this series, it's that the way that the pitching lineup has been assembled is done so that Thompson goes game 1 and Lamson can go game 2. Pitch to Shawan Dunston in there for a called strike. A run in already in the bottom of the 8th space with nobody out. Again, from there, we'll have to see who's going to be pitching for the Blue Crabs for game 3 or game 4. I think that Alcides Herrera and his start tomorrow might have some bearing on whether the Blue Crabs would consider using him on Friday or Saturday, depending on the situation. I think Alex Merrithew, a very good candidate to get one of those postseason starts. I think that what Eddie Butler brings in his velocity might be very valuable in a bullpen role in the playoffs. We'll have to see, though. He might get a postseason start, but after tonight, he did allow 7 runs and 10 hits in 5 innings. Count 1 and 2 as the pitch tailed low and away from Shawan Dunston. But again, we'll have to see what Stan Clyburn assembles for that playoff rotation. I think really only games 1 and 2 are certain. And you want to go with the 2 guys who, among qualifiers, had the best ERAs in the Atlantic League, who are still locked in. Jorge Martinez, no longer active. That's the number 2 ERA in the Atlantic League. Behind him, it's Lamson, who's 3 among active and qualified pitchers. 1-1 is top foul, or 1-2 is top foul, I should say. Count remains 1 and 2. Wes Mumper said, "Come on, guys, what's with getting down so far on the score? Let's go Blue Crabs getting steamed." While Gina Farducci says it is 9-0. That is the score. And the pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. Shawan Dunston down on strikes. It's been the way this ball game's gone tonight. 9 runs on 15 hits for Lancaster. For the Blue Crabs, no runs on 2 hits. I mean, to have any momentum at all going into the playoffs after tomorrow, you'd have to think that you at least got to get the bats going. I mean, if you're not going to get a terrific start from off the mound, it's a different issue. Pitch, ground ball, a third on a second for 1. Back on a first, 5-4-3 double play. Very well turned from Santiago Chirino over to Ian Yetzko. And the flip to first in time to complete the 5-4-3 double play. We got more to get to when we come back. Last chance for the Blue Crabs to try to get some runs on the board as they trail 9-0 at the end of 8 on the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Well, Joe DeLuca gets us started in the top of the ninth. It's 9-0 Barnstormers. Pitch is a called strike on Joe DeLuca. Jack Sundberg appears to have had his 8-game hit streak come to an end unless the Blue Crabs get him back to the plate here in the top of the ninth. It is 5, 6, and 7 due up. Pitch, shot foul behind home plate. DeLuca followed by Collier and Chirino. DeLuca will step back in. Count 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. And the 0-2 fouled away. Third base side toward that scoreboard area. 9-0. Barnstormers. 5 runs in the first, and they haven't looked back. And the pitching staff has been terrific for Lancaster the entire way. The new pitcher in the ball game is Wes Tunnell, the closer for a large percentage of this season. And he fired a fastball upstairs, count 1-2. 96.4 on that fastball. 1-2 on DeLuca. And the 1-2. Line drive foul, hard hit over the dugout there. That was smashed by DeLuca. Looks like everybody's all right this time around. You know, you're a fan sitting down. You know, a lot of times you can go, you'll check your phone, talk to the person next to you, you're not looking at the game. You hear a foul ball, you hear the crack of the bat, and you might have looked up and then realize the ball is going 80, 90 miles an hour right at you. And the reaction time is slim to none. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Well, DeLuca goes down swinging, and there is one away. And Zach Collier will come to the plate. Again, Collier with an 8-game hitting streak going. Well, all but 2 hit streaks right now are poised to come to an end. Chirino has extended his hit streak to 4 consecutive. And Wolanski didn't have a hit yesterday, so that's just 1 straight. Yeah, Wolanski, I think, the more interesting case here. As the pitch called strike, count 0-1. The reason being that he hits the ball so hard. I mean, it's consistently he's hitting the ball north of 100 miles an hour on these line drives that he hits. The launch angle is just a few degrees higher. These are home runs. 0-1. It's away. Count 1-1. Collier will also see his on-base streak extend. But the hit streak will come to an end tonight unless he can find a way to get a base hit here. Here is the 0-1, the 1-1, I should say. It's low. Count 2 balls and a strike. 2 balls, 1 strike. And 1 away. Collier taps home plate twice. And here is the 2-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Count 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Base paths are empty for the Blue Crabs as Collier will dig back in. It'll be Collier followed by Chirino. As the Blue Crabs 2 outs away from falling in this series. And the pitch, swing and a miss. Strike 3. Proctor couldn't hang on to it, but Collier walks back to the dugout. Proctor fires the first nonetheless. There are 2 away. Wes Tunnell has entered, and he has gotten a strikeout on DeLuca, and he's struck out Collier. Santiago Chirino at the plate. West Tunnel kicks around some dirt. 5,397 in attendance tonight at Clipper Magazine Stadium. And the pitch to Chirino, a blooper towards shallow right. Shawan Dunston moves in, and he makes the catch for the final out. A shutout by this Lancaster Barnstormers pitching staff. It was Cameron Gann who got the start tonight, and the Blue Crabs are going to come away with the loss. 9-0. They are out-hit 15-2. It was about as one-sided of a loss the Blue Crabs have had all year long. The bats weren't there, the arms weren't there. They had nothing going tonight. Nothing. And they come away with a loss. And the Blue Crabs have now lost back-to-back games to start the series. It's game 131 out of 131 tomorrow. And the Blue Crabs, if they lose, would be swept for the first time this year. They avoided getting swept by the York Revolution by picking up a Game 3 win last Sunday, but tomorrow things appear to be in a bit of tough shape for the Blue Crabs as they're trying to avoid a sweep against a team that has beaten them soundly in Games 1 and Games 2. And the bats have just been absolutely silent across the first two games in this series. The pitching staff's been good. But you need more than that. You need more than that. Well, the Blue Crabs fall tonight 9-0. Fireworks coming up here at Clipper Magazine Stadium. We're going to run you through the box scores first, though. It is. We're going to start with the Blue Crabs bats, where Sumner went 0 for 3. He walked tonight. Wilansky 1 for 4. Walker 0 for 2 with 2 walks. Harris 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. DeLuca was 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. 3 with a walk and a strikeout. Chirino was 1 for 4. Yetzko 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts. Falicetti 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. On to the pitcher's report for the Blue Crabs. Butler and Polacco, the only 2 arms that went tonight. Butler 5 innings, 10 hits, 7 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Polacco 3 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs. He struck out 2 and allowed 2 home runs. Butler surrendered 3. Lancaster hit 5 on the day. Gann was the starter for Lancaster. 5 innings, 2 hits, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts. Goodson 9 up and 9 down. West Tunnel 3 up and 3 down in the Barnstormers 9-0 win. Scoring plays in today's ball game. Shawan Dunston, who hit a home run to right field as the first batter, and that was just a sign of things to come. Anderson Felice later had a 2 RBI double, scoring Melvin Mercedes and Andretti Cordero. Later in the inning, it was Jacob Barfield who had an RBI single, driving in Trayvon Robinson, and Shawan Dunston came back to the plate with the bases loaded. He walked this time, drove in another run. Shawan Dunston then had another home run in the bottom of the 4th inning to give the Lancaster Barnstormers a 6-0 lead. Trayvon Robinson homer made it 7-0. In the bottom of the 7th, Andretti Cordero homer made it 8-0, and Joseph Carpenter homered to make it 9-0. 5 home runs in the game by the Barnstormers. It was not close tonight. 15-2 in the hits category, favoring the Barnstormers. Well, that's going to do it from us here from Game 2 of this series between the Blue Crabs and the Barnstormers. The final regular season set, and then we got the playoffs coming up. So I think for the Blue Crabs, you just got to find a way to right the ship before we go to the playoffs. Those playoffs are coming in pretty soon. All right, fans, have a terrific evening. Well, thank you for coming out to listen to the Hometown Real Estate Broadcast Network. Be back with you tomorrow for a day game as the Blue Crabs battle the Lancaster Barnstormers in the final game of a 3-game set to close out the regular season. Have a terrific evening, everybody. We finish, as always, with Let's Go Blue Crabs.